Welcome to Legal 123s with ByrdAdatto. Legal issues simplified through real client stories and real-world experiences. Creating simplicity in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of the Legal 123s with ByrdAdatto. I'm your host, ByrdAdatto, with my co-host, Michael Byrd.
As a business and healthcare law firm, we meet a lot of interesting people and learn their amazing stories. This season's theme, Brad, is unintended consequences. We sometimes find ourselves in a situation that can be traced back to a seemingly inconsequential or unrelated decision.
Yes, and I'm very excited to have a conversation with our guest today because it seems like we've had a lot of unintended consequences getting him on today, but he's going to join us. That's going to be great.
I'm excited to longtime client joining us, but Brad, we got some important things to deal with first.
Okay.
We need to get into something. It's time for you, Brad, I need to make sure you're up to speed on the trending pop culture terms and their meaning.
Well, we've discussed this a few prior episodes, and as always, they all sound like a foreign language to me, Michael.
I know. I'm trying to keep you young, Brad. It is very hard work. I am fighting the current of your incessant dad jokes and your gray hair.
You mean my handcrafted, thoroughly thoughtful dad jokes?
Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Well, I'm going to start with a couple of terms.
Okay.
Have you heard the term theatrical productivity?
Yes. I actually think about a hamster on a hamster wheel. But let everyone else know what it means.
I'm learning from my kids, so I didn't know. I had to look it up myself. But it's the art of making yourself appear busy. It's the drama, in quotes, of making yourself kind of feel like you're constantly in motion. Think like color-coded calendars, long Slack messages, unnecessary Zoom calls, and the perfectly posted I'm grinding social media posts. What I think of with our generation, original credit to George Costanza when he was working for the Yankees.
Yes, George. There's some great quotes from that show period from Seinfeld, but thinking about George working the New York Yankees, for those who don't remember, he worked as the assistant to the traveling secretary. Very important job
Yes.
for the New York Yankees.
Funny, I forgot that title. Okay, next term.
All right.
Have you heard the term Gen Z stare?
No, but is it anything like the 1,000-yard stare that people use to describe combat veterans after they experience either shell shock or stress from combat?
Well, I've never thought of that. They actually might be cousins. Let me define it.
Okay.
So this is a viral internet expression referring to the way Gen Z, and this is especially on TikTok.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not a watch. It's a social media platform.
Never seen it.
Yeah. So it's when they appear on camera, and so the reputation of Gen Z is they have this deadpan, emotionless, unsmiling, and unbothered attitude, often while delivering a sarcastic or hyper-aware commentary. It's kind of the opposite of the millennial cheese for the camera energy that you see on social media. The Gen Z stare is like the modern eye roll, and it's that look that says, I know this is dumb, but I'm still participating because I'm ironically self-aware.
Yeah, I feel like there's a conversation I have with my daughter all the time where she's staring at me like that.
Yes,
yeah.
Same.
But I guess it is somewhat like the 1,000-yard stare for Gen Z, but there's humor involved.
Yeah, a little.
All right.
It doesn't feel humorous. One more. Okay. Have you heard of aura farming?
Negative. What is it?
Okay. Well, so aura is like the big term that Gen Alpha is been using, and it's becoming more and more used. Now that you've heard it here, you're gonna hear it
everywhere
in day to day.
Okay, good.
So aura farming means that you're curating your vibe or aesthetic online. So, as an example,
all right,
Brad, if you were to go online, which I know that's a stretch,
giant stretch,
and to post a picture of yourself, and you wanted to make sure you had on your jean shorts and your New Balance shoes, you would be aura forming your dad joke aesthetic.
Very lucky for me. I never post online. I don't own jean shorts.
Those are back in
New
style, I've heard.
Balance.
That's a different conversation.
So one less trend I have to learn about that will be obsolete in the next 15 minutes.
All right, let's get into the story. I think we
need to bring on
defined
today's
guest.
guest.
All right. Joining us today is Dr. Alan Durkin. He is the founder and owner of Ocean Drive Plastic Surgery in Vero Beach, Florida. He, as we say in our shows, is a doctorpreneur in the plastic surgery world and the medical spa world with a heavy focus on training and education. He is a board-certified plastic surgeon, undergrad magna cum laude from University of Miami. He has a master's from the University of Chicago, MD from the University of South Florida, and he is faculty member and clinical assistant professor of plastic surgery at Florida State University. Alan, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, Alan, we're going to hit you with a very hard question right up front. Are you up to speed on any of those terrible trending terms that Michael was citing to earlier?
I absolutely am. And listen, so Brad, I understand about the jean shorts. Let's not forget about jeggings. Okay, those are still around. And so, if we're not going to go with short shorts and the Daisy Dukes, jeggings, I think jeggings might be the answer. As your plastic surgeon, I feel like jeggings should get its moment in the sun. Gentlemen, thank you for having me. So you did mention I'm a very, very proud client of your firm, and I'm very thankful for the stewardship that you've had for us, for MedSpa Network, for Ocean Drive, and for our endeavors with VO. You guys have been really instrumental with all of that. So I'm thankful for your efforts, and I'm thankful to be here.
Appreciate the shout out.
Yeah.
Let's get into, I want to introduce you to the audience, or for those that don't know you yet. Tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Sure. So I'm from Chicago. I just moved to Florida right before high school. Grew up here, and then did all of that training that you mentioned. So I started off my career in Arizona. It's kind of a generally unknown story, but the guy I interviewed with for medical school was Catholic. I'm Catholic, and he made me promise to do an underserved area. And I was going to, back then, it was no big deal because I was going to go into pediatrics. I didn't think it was going to be that hard. But then, lo and behold, I ended up rotating through surgery. I loved it. And then I really enjoyed the treatment of the cancer patient. And then I was introduced to reconstructive surgery and really facial reconstructive surgery. And lo and behold, I ended up being a plastic surgeon. So I ended up working in northern Arizona for the Navajo Nation for my first few years. So I went out there, and I had interviewed, and where I live right now in Indian River County, and the gentleman I interviewed with, I really liked, but I felt like I had that obligation. But he called me every 6 months for 3 years. And my wife and I were able to move back to Vero, and we started Ocean Drive. And really, we're a boutique destination plastic surgery center. That's what we've evolved into. So half of our patients are true fly-ins, and we really specialize primarily. And I personally do face, non-surgical, and complex breast. That's what I do. My partner is a master body contouring guy and a master breast surgeon. So we're a pretty good 1-2 punch. We have 6 estheticians, 2 massage therapists, and we have 2 dermatologists too. So I serve as chairman of the plastic surgery division for Cleveland Clinic, Florida, Indian River, Florida as well, and do a great deal on the oncologic side there. About 2015-16, we deeply invested into the med spa space and met with, that was really right as like that kind of parabolic growth curve was really like tripling down. And we found that space to be very agreeable to how we like to treat people. And then we were able to really take a lot of our mainstream medical offerings, like, just a dermatology Blue Cross visit. Now we're trying to run that through. We look at the med spa as a healthcare delivery system. It's not really a flash in the pan if there's 20,000 of them. So there's something that people like about it. So what we try to do is invest those processes onto the insurance side, not just the aesthetic side. And it works really well. And then that led us to doing what you mentioned with training and whatnot. So we've been National Training Center for over 20 brands since 2018. And that led to our appointment to Chief Medical Officer at VO. And I say our appointment because I am a voice in a chorus. So I have a whole team of smarter people than me that, don't wear free paper hats to important meetings like this, and they help keep me straight. So we just felt we got lucky. We found some like-minded people in Indian River County, and we had a neat idea, and lo and behold, it worked. So fast forward, here we are.
That's awesome. So you gave us obviously some background on ocean dry plastic surgery, but when you were talking about the MedSpa network, first off, very cool name. How'd you come up with that? Second, you were talking about the different services. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about what the service lines that are being done through your network.
Oh, sure. No, absolutely. Thank you. So very similar, I'm sure, to both of you. I married way up, way up. She didn't have any money, but she was probably the smartest human I've ever met. So MedSpa Network was actually coined by my wife, Roxanne, Dr. Engel. And what the concept is what we saw was rewind, it's 2015, 16, and we saw this unique healthcare delivery system that nobody really, like a lot of the other physicians that we encountered, they didn't see it the same way that we did.
Yeah.
But simultaneously, all of these these startups were spooling up, and they were deeply ensconced in specific services, right? And it was really the delivery of neuromodulators. If you really look back at it, that was really step one, and then step two was fillers. Step three was, well, you can argue step three was GLP, or you can argue as energy-based devices, and step four was GLP. But that's neither here nor there. But that's really how it kind of took off, and so we are in that space. And we're one of the few like higher end, aesthetic practices that still has an insurance component, because most of us do not anymore because they don't want to deal with it. Well, as soon as we started taking our derm patients and treating them the same way as somebody coming in for a facial, things got really, really good, really fast. And then we really invested in our facility such that we basically had to move the spa into the middle between derm and plastic, so that way 100% of our patients could get there. And so all of this is happening. And by accident, I was the largest injector one year of one of the filler platforms for a single injector. Like, obviously I didn't outcompete, a large, private equity group, but pound for pound, I outcompeted every single injector in the United States, and I wasn't trying, and I operate 3 days a week. So that led to a conversation where, the question was posed to me is, well, how'd you do that? And so I told them full on that I do everything my wife tells me to, and she loved the system, and she seemed to think that it would pay good dividends. And lo and behold, because full disclosure, guys, we weren't looking at that, right? Because this is all new. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at this med spa kind of thing as to what does this do to my surgical numbers? Like that's really what I was looking at. And my surgical numbers went crazy. They went crazy. And so then these guys come down, we're talking about it. Like, what are you doing? I told them what we're doing. And then they told us what we had done. So that company promptly hired my wife away from me. And she actually escalated in that company up to be the channel director over 7 years. She actually worked for them for 7 years. And then I ended up, just hashing it out here. But Roxanne, with her help with the concept, I made MedSpa Network, because as we're doing this, like, it was very clear that a lot of other really smart people were going to do this too, but they didn't have access to the same training, at all. Like they really didn't. And these are not bad people by any means. They're the overarching majority of them sacrificed a great deal to enter healthcare, and the job that most of us train for no longer exists. Like, it just doesn't. And I'm not blaming anybody for that, but that's a fact. So, if you're forward thinking, you might want to make a change. So most of these people went towards aesthetics. There was a clear opportunity, to either slam the door on those people or ingratiate yourself to them. We picked the latter, simply because we had an experience in the med spa space already. And if not us, then who? Like, somebody's got to make these people safe, because sinking tides are not good for my boat either. Like
Right.
I don't need that. And so now you fast forward between 2015, 2025, I can definitively tell you that there's only three things that can drop, numbers for my practice. One is if somebody ends up on the cover of People magazine saying somebody deformed me with a machine. Two is any presidential election. Like just any presidential election is going to slow down your revenue cycle. And three, apparently 6 months of tariffs can reduce some interest in aesthetics or whatever is causing it. Because numbers are certainly, well, they're not really down. They're just different. They're just a lot different very quickly. And I don't think it's the tariffs. I was just kind of joking. But that's what we did. So MedSpa Network was really sounded to be a stepping stone for men and women entering the aesthetic space that really wanted to learn how stuff really works. And we started strictly as, clavicles up. And, fast forward 7 years into it, we do everything now. And now 26% of our membership is plastic surgeons.
Wow. That's amazing.
Never advertised. 26% are plastic surgeons, 20% are derms. And my thoughts on that is it's hard to find good, unbiased, non-industry driven training that's anatomy based. So that's our working theory.
Yeah.
But we've been doing it ever since. And, then we were lucky enough to, work with VO and they've been a profound partner. And we believe we've been a good partner to them too. But that's really the concept. And, obviously it's driven through sales and stuff like that, but in terms of revenue, but really we wanted to even out the playing field for consumers as best as possible. And also bear in mind, I'm in South Florida. Like, if it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong in South Florida. So, we had an early experience with a lot of these. Nobody advertises to be a referral center for, aesthetic complications, but Ocean Drive is a large referral center for aesthetic complications in the southeastern United States now. So,
wow.
Yeah. And that's a good thing because we want these people to be taken care of.
Right.
Nobody intends, incredibly small number of humans intend for complications,
Right.
There's nobody on staff that I know of here in any River County that's looking for that. But so like when a complication occurs, if somebody's going to be bold and brave enough to own it as a practitioner, we want to support that practitioner as much as possible because they didn't intend it. The patient doesn't want it. And everybody wants it to go away, including me and including the newspaper. Well, maybe not the guy writing the newspaper, but the person buying the newspaper, they want it to go away too. So if not me, then whom?
That's great. And listening again, I know your story and just your journey with all these your different tentacles to your career and the growth that you've experienced. And I think about our theme this season. We're talking about unintended consequences, and what inspired us to talk about it is that as business owners, we always have good intentions, and we will be doing something and something that may be a good thing. And all of a sudden there's like this ripple effect thing that you didn't even know about. And so I'm just curious from your perspective and your experiences on your journey, do you have some examples of, unintended consequences that you've experienced?
Yes, I do. So I don't know if it's unintended consequences or if you see patterns. Like it's kind of a variant on a theme, right?
Right.
So like you look at me and it's an odd pairing, Michael, right? Like so yesterday I did I did 4 melanoma cases, fairly complex ones, and today I did 2 facelifts, and so I always had an interest in the privilege of serving someone with those needs of at that time when somebody gets a diagnosis like that. Like there's a real privilege there, like because you don't want it and you can if you're lucky enough, sometimes you can rise to the occasion and pull a rabbit out of your hat. So that's a real privilege for me. And so I deeply, like I did 2 years of just pure cancer surgery. That was not subtle. That's not a minor decision.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward, and I had a clear advantage as a facelift surgeon coming out, because every melanoma case, I got to dig out the facial nerve. And I can't remember who said it, but there was a very famous plastic surgeon. Gosh, it's just going to drive me crazy. I want to say that it was Dr. Barton, but I think it was Dr. Barton. And Dr. Barton said that the type of facelift surgeon will directly correlate with your familiarity with the facial nerve. And so my favorite operations on earth are facelift and rhinoplasty. And those are the two operations that I use those techniques the most of to treat malignant melanoma.
Wow.
And
yeah,
I didn't plan that at all, but I'm just telling you, if you go to like AJCC, the AJCC meeting, the cancer control meeting, I'm just telling you that the melanoma guys there, they know the facial nerve just as good as most guys that do face, if not better.
Yeah.
Because they're just digging it out. Those men and women are digging it out every day with life-saving intent.
I'm curious, what was that? How did you connect those dots that you had this training that had this, other application?
I didn't. I fell into it. Like, that's what I was trying to say. When you said unintended consequence, it's almost like, so maybe consequence, I might be missing on the consequence.
No,
so
I think it's a great one.
But there's an unintended privilege or unintended opportunity.
Right.
Yeah. And it fell on me. And I do all of this, cancer training and stuff like that. And so you guys know me. I mean, imagine me when I'm 29 and I'm finishing training. I am Billy Badass. I have never been wrong, ever. I don't know what it tastes like to lose. I can't smell lose. I have never been wrong. Right. But then I go out and I end up in northern Arizona, and all of a sudden I'm all alone. I am all alone at a level 1 trauma tertiary referral care center with no backup. And so I'm doing a lot of melanoma up there and stuff like that and whatnot. And I didn't get a lot of facelift training though, because, I'm working for the Indian Health Service. Uh-huh. And so, I come back to, I take this job, and it's ran by a facial plastic surgeon. He's all cosmetic. That's all he does. And the first day that we scrub a facelift, he's got 30 years experience on me. And Dr. Becker was a god to me. Mm-hmm. He did everything for me. But I figured out real fast, as soon as we got underneath the smaz, I was just as comfortable as him, if not more comfortable. But everywhere else, he had me beat. Mm-hmm. He had me beat with, he had forgotten more than I knew.
Yeah.
And so I saw that. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is easier than doing, a deep scaling sentinel lymph node biopsy. So, yeah, it just dawned on me right there. And so we really tried to and full disclosure, Michael, that led us into investing in the spa space, because as you both recall, when the MedSpa thing started, it was from here up only.
Right.
Yeah.
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 I mean, there's very little. I mean, there was a little bit, right? There was a little bit, but not much. Cool sculpting was really the big one. And I don't think that did anybody any favors, but that's just me.
That's funny. Well, we got a few minutes left. And I want to ask you you've been very kind to us about talking about the past and what has happened because of the past. We've had sidebars before, but about the future of different industries, but love to hear where you think the future of plastic surgery is going over the next 5 years.
Yeah. So, I think that there are going to be two overarching themes with it. One's going to be GLP. I do. And the second one's going to be artificial intelligence. So I don't mean to sound like I don't think Skynet's coming. I don't think some dude is going to show up on a Harley with a sawed-off shotgun. I don't think any of that's going to happen. But there was a great editorial I read in the Wall Street Journal, I want to say about 3 weeks ago, where they were talking about, it took 200 years to go from living by candlelight to driving a car. And then it took 50 years to go from, reading a book in a library to reading a book on your cell phone. And so like the faster that the technology, or the more geometric that the technology becomes, the less the latency period for onboarding said technology becomes. And the problem is that your technological expertise goes like this, but your wisdom stays down here.
Oh, wow.
So that no matter if it's positive or negative, I think AI is going to play an absolutely seminal role in aesthetics for two reasons. Number one is everything in aesthetics is foundationally visual.
Yeah.
And 99.9999997% of all of those heads-up displays are going to be visual, which means all of those systems are going to communicate visually, which means that there is going to be a natural integration towards visual systems. So you're going to see an enormous undertaking of AI in ours. I would imagine architecture would be the exact same, because it's going to be really hard for the world's greatest architect to compete with the world's shittiest architectural AI. It's just going to be real hard. And then you have the aesthetics industry is unique because it's so immature, and really our consumers are rapidly accruing knowledge, but not as much wisdom. So those pitfalls still exist. The question will become, will AI be able to decrease further the expectation of standardization for the consumer? And I think that, you have a lot of people that are a little less scrupulous than ByrdAdatto and Ocean Drive. And I think that you can now technologically provide that. And the question will become, do we have enough wisdom to tell the difference?
It's great input.
I don't know the answer.
That's fascinating.
I also don't think that the societies will play a pivotal role. I think that they're going to sit this one out, just like they sat out GLP. They basically sat out the pandemics.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that it's not going to. One thing is certain, gentlemen, too. I also think that future will be driven by organizations like yours and like VO and like Ideal Image. It's not going to be driven by the universities. They're not interested in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Well, I can't believe it. Our time just flew by. And so we'll wrap up on this side. First of all, thank you for joining us on the Legal 1-2-3s with ByrdAdatto. We are grateful for your time and more importantly for you. And we'll go to break. And then after that, Brad and I'll have a quick little legal wrap up.
Many business owners use legal counsel as a last resort rather than as a proactive tool that can further their success. Why? For most, it's the fear of unknown legal costs. ByrdAdatto's Access Plus program makes it possible for you to get the ongoing legal assistance you need for one predictable monthly fee. That gives you unlimited phone and email access to the legal team, so you can receive feedback on legal concerns as they arise. Access Plus, a smarter, simpler way to access legal services. Find out more. Visit ByrdAdatto.com today.
Well, welcome back to Legal 1-2-3s with ByrdAdatto. I'm your host, ByrdAdatto, with my co-host, Michael Byrd. Now, Michael, as we've said many times this season, our theme is unintended consequences, and we had an amazing conversation with Dr. Alan Durkin, and wish we had a much longer time frame to catch up with him.
I know, it was really crazy. I mean, my mind was kind of blown when he said that he viewed his MedSpa as a healthcare delivery system, and it just juxtaposes against, the how we so often talk about it as kind of retail meets healthcare, and that can be true. But I love, for someone that has a deep reconstructive background, which is heavy insurance, and then a deep aesthetic background in the plastic surgery and the facelifts, to view this med spa as that as a delivery system, and how that changed the way they interacted with their patients across the board. And as you and I know, there's a lot of actual operational challenges to actually implement that, and legal challenges to make it all feel like one.
Yeah, I love how you embraced it all. So it's a great line. Well, audience members, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. We will be back next Wednesday when we continue down this journey of unintended consequences. We bring on special guest and trial attorney Brian Lawton, who will talk to us all about the unintended consequences of litigation. Thanks again for joining us today. And remember, if you like this episode, please subscribe, make sure to give us a 5-star rating, and share with your friends.
You can also sign up for the ByrdAdatto newsletter by going to our website at ByrdAdatto.com.
ByrdAdatto is providing this podcast as a public service. This podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast does not constitute legal advice, nor does it establish an attorney-client relationship. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by ByrdAdatto. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Please consult with an attorney on your legal issues.